Might as well be in the Wild West or Salem with this kind of intolerance and inhumanity.
How does it hurt you if people have the freaking right to vote in America without having to show their papers? There is no rationale for it except to keep people who cannot get an ID from voting, and that is an underhanded plot to seize power, and therefore un-American in itself. You as a decent American citizen are not endangered in any way, since all one needs today is to be a great bullshitter to come into power.
When people whose lives have been nothing but good, who have no health, financial, or social difficulties, have their hands, tongues, and heads all over the rights of others, those struggling or for whom life challenges are real and embodied in economic bigotry, civil liberties, or cultural prejudice. If your life is great, then mind your own business, or help. Live and let live, or offer up some of that success for the betterment of someone less fortunate or working toward equality. You cannot judge their level of difficulty from your comfy chair.
If the president can collude with Russians to get elected, what difference does it make if we have the right papers to vote? The voting districts are squeezed into twister contortions to assure GOP victories for what have proven to be vengeful, unscrupulous bigots. The new government is filled with a bunch of liars and comic book villains for which none of us with the proper credentials voted. Yet they will now dictate all our health, economic, and education priorities for the next 4 years. Here's my government-issued license. Glad to make you feel so much safer.
So leaking the truth about Michael Flynn was the real problem? The President of the United States said that the problem was not that his staff member was sidestepping the rule of law or proven untrustworthy, but that we know about it. Leakers will be prosecuted. Treason to be determined. Oh, hi there, Mr. Mueller.
That is the morality of the current White House.
Well, of course it is when your entire administration is schooled in, well-practiced, and dedicated in lying, double-talk, cover-ups, and misdirection. When the president is a master manipulator using his only honed skill to muddy the water surrounding every issue.
Can we please stop following every foul ball he pitches for us to fetch?
Wait, that North Korea problem? All better now, right? Power-hungry oligarchs have no scruples no matter the country.
So many have died due to deliberate aggression by the police. The American president should not be rallying them to applaud such brutality. They're sworn to protect and serve all the people, not just those they judge to be worthy.
Never think you're equal in the eyes of a racist, no matter what your ethnicity, nor how far you think you've come in society.
Symbols glorifying a war against this country and the immorality that fueled it are removed by awakened communities, while the American president personifies our systemic racism. If we do not accept this truth, then we will not have the strength to battle it, the strategies to overcome it, or the educational insight to remedy it.
Most people aspire to an education to uplift themselves or their children, or at least they used to see it as something to be proud of. But now it must be deemed some sort of liability or downplayed so we can pander to egos rather than trade in facts. Anyone can be a dick about things no matter their walk of life, so I hope we all can find a way to move past these divisive habits.
He didn't mean that, he meant this. So ignore what he actually says? Rehear and interpret it to what is appropriate today. Alternate what he says with what he really means, even if patently untrue in a thing called reality. I mean, they are really off the deep end of denial to the point of delusion when nothing sways even the kindest, most decent people we know. When there's nothing left to defend, they need to stop defending and let reality finally rush in.
Oh, we think we're tough guys and better than the rest of the world, but the world now sees us for the adolescents we are. What can we do to change it?
Wake up and adopt the keen wit of a comedian to strip the emperor and uncover the crazy in a way that gives us insight and respite from the real evil spewing from the gaping maw of this vengeful dynasty. Do we now govern by spite instead of democratic principles?
Making injustice okay to do because it was once done to you is the cycle of abuse crying out for change. Are you overreacting enough to this insidious coup?
Seriously, are we still fighting the same crap that our generation thought was moot by now? Maybe because we believe so strongly in the changes and because equality for everyone is the right thing to do, we did not see the sexism and prejudice going underground waiting for a dictatorial regime to ooze forth.
We are truly going through a second dark age. The things people are revealing that they believe now in the 21st century are simply archaic. Yet so many daily take to heart and spread the inane, the superstitious, and the biblical as reality.
it makes me so frightened because I cannot understand how or why anyone would want to live in the past, except some, I guess, for whom maybe the past was better.
Maybe when we think of Trump, think witch hunts against whatever ethnic group you belong to instead of against whatever group you feel you're better than.
We are all learning the meaning of civil disobedience in the face of this American regime. Individuals, businesses, cities, and states are pledging to follow the Paris Accord, to denounce neo-Nazis, to defend refugees, to overcome his nationalist actions, to expose the truth and uphold the American way. He brings us together despite himself. Even though you care, we become an entirely, uniquely modern manifestation of all our ills, magnified by the anonymous nature of the internet and a public figure boasting about bigotry and encouraging all that was seething beneath. I'm grateful for the revelation of this leftover ooze, but it has grown beyond that to a self-righteous steamroller that we must dodge and morally need to dismantle.
Well, how do I overcome my blind acceptance of unbridled bigotry and insipid insistence that this man, the one lying to us, making a mockery of the American way of life with hypocrisy, racism, and childish retorts, had even one day of intellectual, rational, or moral competence toward the presidency opposite a bedbug, let alone a woman of substance?
This is our country now. Blame the internet, blame ignorance, blame living in the past, or just plain meanness. But this is our country. This is what a large faction of our country believes is righteous behavior and acceptable language. This kind of anger and evil is coming from our family and our friends. We, the people, all together, must find a way back to the basic tenets of decency and democracy.
I'm not frightened. I'm not sad. I am disgraced and humbled because I cannot divorce myself from the America we've become.
Hi. I wish I could relate to the experience of the previous speakers here. You might not believe that, but I do. It's well, it's an American experience, right? One of a people who have triumphed over adversity, and well, that's not to say that the struggle is over, because it's not over yet. How quickly have we forgotten that America was founded by the victims of oppression, right? Well, half those people were like the Pennsylvania Dutch, people that were by no means favored by the rich and powerful. That's not who we Americans came from mostly, despite, you know, the way a lot of Americans these days seem to think and feel. You see, well, they didn't want us. In England, in Germany, they didn't want us. People forget how they used to laugh at us, the Americans. You know, the crazy Americans that built the greatest nation on earth, right? And they did it out of such rocky soil. They found themselves in this wilderness, and they carved out a nation, a mighty nation, our mighty nation, from, well, from sea to shining sea, as they say. But these people, these downtrodden individuals came to this country unwanted and unappreciated in their homelands. Came here with just the shirts on their backs. They overcame a continent full of obstacles just so that we could live here, so that we could prosper here. And we have. We've prospered. You see, that's the history of America, the short version. And if anybody tells you any differently, well, they're just asking for trouble.
Oh, wow.